Tonight on Denver 7 News at 6.
I believe they were out there lurking, waiting for somebody to mess with.
A judge told a towing company the jig was up and to return a Denver woman's car. They said no.
They are crooks. They are out there taking advantage of people.
Plus, a Littleton man is arrested for storming the U.S. Capitol.
Weld County's district attorney vows to not prosecute cases involving a local police officer.
I can't, like I said, in good conscience, ask my attorneys to put Zachary Hilbig on the stand.
And Coloradans react to President Biden's plan for a path to citizenship for undocumented immigrants.
We've been waiting for a day like this.
Good evening, and thanks for watching Denver 7. I'm Ann Trujillo.
Well, I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're here tonight. We will say this for the towing companies we've had the pleasure of calling out over the last month. They are persistent.
So persistent that when a judge ruled they broke the law in taking a woman's car, they still refuse to give it back. Contact Denver 7's Jacqueline Allen is on the story.
They are absolute thieves.
Danae Atway is a fighter, but this is a fight she never asked for.
They came in the night, they unlawfully booted my vehicle. They came the next night and unlawfully stole my vehicle. This is my assigned spot, yep.
Last summer, she parked her Jeep outside her home with a flat tire. An hour later, without the required notice, Park It Right put a boot on it. Then the next day, they towed it.
Tell me what you think is going on.
They are predators.
When she took her fight to court, a Denver judge agreed with her, ruling her car was unlawfully towed, ordering Park It Right to return it immediately and pay Danae $3,200 for keeping her car for the last 7 months.
You thought you were going to see justice.
I did. I thought I was going to see justice. I felt like I'd stood up to giants and won.
But it's been more than a week since the judge's ruling.
You won in court,
I won.
but your car's not here.
It's not.
So we went to Park It Right, also called Towing Done Right, to find out where Danae's Jeep is.
This is Jacqueline Allen with Denver7. Can we talk to you for just a second?
When they wouldn't talk there, we reached out to the owner, Joel Perry. Hi, Joel. This is Jacqueline Allen with Denver7. He still hasn't responded, but an attorney sent a statement saying the case is on appeal. Do they still have Danae's Jeep?
Yes, they do.
Richard Roberts just quit Park It Right today, he says, because of what he saw.
And they are damaging people's property, and then they cover it up. They make it out to be somebody else's fault.
Contact Denver7 first exposed Park It Right's practices last week. The owner targeting people with expired plates, charging more than the state allows to remove a boot. Now the governor is investigating.
As you've exposed, this can be a racket. People have to pay hundreds of dollars just to get their car back.
Getting her car back is all that Danae wants now. A judge's order wasn't enough, so she'll keep fighting.
I'm not going to go quietly into the night on this, so I appreciate you guys shining light on it. I appreciate you guys being willing to do these stories.
For Contact Denver7, I'm Jacqueline Allen.
You know, as the old saying goes, post photos of yourself to Facebook doing the crime and expect to do the time. Well, Patrick Montgomery of Littleton is the latest Coloradan to be arrested for his role in the Capitol riots. Federal prosecutors say he told his friends on social media all about that time he stormed the Senate chambers and had the photos to back it up. It is unclear if Montgomery was armed. Now, late this afternoon, a judge granted him bond and told him to stay away from government buildings and Washington, D.C. in general.
State Rep Ron Hanks of Fremont County sent supporters a fundraising email today in which he suggested Antifa was responsible for the riots in Washington. They were not. He also claimed the election was stolen. It was not.
John Hickenlooper was elected to the Senate as the kind of moderate who would be willing to reach out across the aisle. Well, we asked the senator today if that applies to a person like Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, and he told us he would, but said that compromise takes two, and it starts with trust and truth.
This country, if we're going to survive, and we are one of the greatest and most successful examples of a democracy over a long period of time in the history of the world, in the history of civilization, and it's predicated on truth. That we all do our best and we realize that we're not perfect humans, but we all work to get to the truth. And if she is really unwilling to do that and is going to go out and embrace these, phantasmal, hallucinogenic stories that clearly have no basis in fact, then I don't see how we're going to be able to work together, because you have to have some level of trust, and you've got to agree on a set of facts.
And Hickenlooper told us climate change and health care are among his top priorities for his first term in office.
12 members of the Army National Guard have been removed from inauguration duty, either because of inappropriate comments or ties to right-wing militias. We asked the Colorado National Guard if any of its members were involved. They passed this off to superiors who told us they didn't yet have specifics. ABC News coverage of the inauguration begins with a special, bright and early edition of Good Morning America at 5 a.m. Denver7 News will air on our sister station, Local 3, from 5 to 7 a.m.
President-elect Biden will push for an 8-year path to citizenship for those without legal status. The process would be expedited for dreamers.
Well, Colorado immigration groups say they're cautiously optimistic this new administration can get this done, and they also feel like they've seen this movie before. Here's Ivan Rodriguez with the story.
Since moving to the U.S. with her parents at just 2 years old, Paola Grimaldo has lived in limbo when it comes to her immigration status.
I honestly felt like an American. I didn't feel any different from my classmates up until the point where everybody started driving and getting a driver's license.
But those moments of feeling like an outcast could be numbered if President-elect Joe Biden's immigration plan becomes a reality.
I'm honestly very hopeful.
Biden's policy he'll be sending to Congress Wednesday includes an 8-year pathway to citizenship for immigrants without legal status, and will also expand admissions for refugees to the U.S.
My family has been here for more than 20 years, and we've been waiting for a day like this.
The pathway would allow for 5 years of temporary status and the chance to earn a green card after meeting requirements like paying taxes and passing a background check. People would be able to apply for citizenship 3 years later.
I'm very excited that it is a day one initiative.
For the Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition, where Paola also works, the plan is ambitious and what many families are in need of.
The hard part about the history of immigration policy in the United States is that it seems to come too little too late. And we're hoping that that does not continue under the Biden administration.
The fear of the unknown is something people in Paola's situation know all too well. Still, she's cautious.
Although these promises are great, we have seen time and time that undocumented immigrants still get left behind, and even under the Obama administration, deported more people than any other president in history.
For many, it's an ambitious start to a new presidency filled with hope and a sense of security. Ivan Rodriguez, Denver7.
Police were involved in a shooting at a convenience store in Evans today. Investigators are not saying if anybody was hurt, but assure us they will release more information later this evening.
2 additional arrests have been made in connection with the discovery of 3 bodies in the San Luis Valley. Julius Barros is charged with first-degree murder. C.J. Walter Dominguez was hit with an accessory charge. Both are accused of tampering with human remains. Julius Barros is the brother of Audrey Psycho Barros, the first suspect to be arrested. An affidavit's released this evening claimed that one of the 3 victims, Myron Martinez, was stabbed and shot to death during a drug deal. Martinez's girlfriend, Shayla Hamill, was also later found dead. A 3rd victim has not yet been identified.
Letitia Stalk has been found competent to stand trial in the murder of her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon. Investigators suspected Stalk from the beginning. Her story just didn't add up, they say, and was constantly changing. Deputies also claim to have found a substantial amount of forensic evidence inside her home. Stalk is likely to be back in court again in March.
The district attorney for Weld County will not prosecute cases involving a Fort Lupton police officer who was acquitted of manslaughter. A jury found Zachary Helbig not guilty of shooting and killing a man in 2019. DA Michael Rourke told us today he respects the decision. However, he feels that Helbig being indicted in the first place, along with some questionable actions after the fact, he says is enough to make his presence detrimental to any case he might present.
When Zachary Helbig is put back on the street, and I see body camera footage of him deploying a rifle, pointing it at a suspect, giving inconsistent commands with that of an arresting officer, and then threatening to insert expletive, shoot someone again, shortly after being put back on the street after being on paid leave for a manslaughter indictment. To me, like I said, that's the last straw. This demonstrated to me a very poor set of decision-making factors to the point where I felt like he was a danger to our community.
And Rourke told us his office has already dismissed 2 cases because of Helbig's involvement. Helbig's attorney told our partners at the Denver Post that Rourke's decision amounts to a personal vendetta.
Nearly 1,700 cases of the coronavirus confirmed in Colorado today. 786 people are in the hospital, and that's down almost half from this time a month ago.
Governor Polis said today he is hoping for a better relationship with the Biden administration than he had with the current one, and he'd especially like a little more transparency as to how many COVID vaccines Colorado will be getting per week.
We hope that the incoming administration can provide more visibility and transparency to us so we know what is coming. Right now, we find out 3 or 4 days ahead how many vaccines we're going to get for the following week. I let the Biden transition team know that we hope that we can get to a point where we have 2 weeks notice or at least 10 days notice so that every dose can be used even quicker.
Governor Polis hopes to have Coloradans over 70 vaccinated by the end of February and to begin vaccinating teachers by March.
City of Denver has cited another 6 businesses over COVID safety violations. All 6 involved employees or customers not wearing masks. The Popeyes in Green Valley Ranch, Denver Realty Group, and Rickenbach Cadillac dealership on Broadway were among the businesses cited.
Coming up, George Payton sits down with the media for the first time as Broncos GM. We had questions.
When do you start having to start formulating the tough decisions? And I'll ask specifically about a Von Miller.
Cold and quiet right now. Coming up, our next chance for snow.